Good morning. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. This is Siva Divaki from MassMailer. Today I'm going to talk about a very simple topic, which has been asked by many customers, saying that, hey, maybe you should do a video. So that's why I thought maybe I would just do a quick webinar today, talking about various buttons and related lists and stuff that you can see in Salesforce, meaning like when you're working on any object or anything like that. So you want to see the related information about MassMailer. So how would you do that? So a couple of things that you would do. So if you're familiar with Salesforce, object layouts or search layouts, that you will have to go edit and then pick the right components from MassMailer and add it to your layouts. So let's take a look at how to edit your layouts today. And I have a few slides that I just want to go through. So just to kind of showcase on what all buttons or components that we provide that can be added to any layout. As you may be familiar, MassMailer is by default supported for certain standard objects. I've listed a few of them here: lead, contact, account, case, opportunity. We are adding a few more though. Opportunity contact roles is already available. I've not listed that because it doesn't have a page layout. You may see case team as well, and account relationship in the next release, but I've kind of listed just the basics, right? And also campaign is there. So that's in the next slide. So any standard object that is enabled in MassMailer, or any custom object that's also enabled in MassMailer. So you can edit those object layouts. And again, when it comes to object layouts, it could be a page layout or a search layout. Again, a slight difference between these two, and I'll show you what it means and how to edit those two as well. Prominently or fundamentally, we have buttons and the related list. So these are, it could be called as an action as well. I just said buttons because it's easy to kind of comprehend. So it could be an action too, right? Depending on whether you're in Classic or Lightning. And I'll show you both. So basically, there are three fundamental buttons that MassMailer provides us. Send via MassMailer, quick send via MassMailer, MassMailer verify. You can add them to the page layouts based on what you really want to showcase to your own end users. Again, you may or may not need to add it to all page layouts and all search layouts. So you will have to make a decision on that. Then if you're actually using Lightning pages, that's fine. You can always add MassMailer components to the Lightning pages as well. I plan to do a separate webinar just for the Lightning pages, so that in this webinar, I would just focus on the standard page layouts and the search layouts. Okay? For related lists that you may see, email, MassMailer email status, verify status, verification jobs, and MassMailer suppressions. And in campaign, I think you may see one more, but I'll again explain to you when I go to the next slide. These are all self-explanatory, I guess. The email status would have all the email events, such as opens and clicks. Verify status would have the verification status, such as valid, invalid, other verification status values that MassMailer provides. Verification jobs is mainly to kind of have a consolidated statistics for the verify status. You may not have to, or rather you don't need to really add that to the page layout. We still kept it there just because some customers like to have it. And suppressions is basically the bounces in our unsubscribes and spam reports kind of thing. So anything that's a true suppression is added to the page layout through the related list, right? So these are meant for the standard and the custom objects. And for campaign, we have similar kind of buttons, but there are a few more that we added because campaign functionality is different than the regular the object-wise functionality that you may get in MassMailer. So again, I've listed, and there's a separate webinar where I spoke about complete campaign functionality on what each of these buttons mean, and then why do you need it, and how do you really use them. So in this webinar, I just want to kind of showcase that these are the buttons or actions that you have. Set as MassMailer campaign. Again, not everybody would need it. Only if by default, if you have not enabled the campaign member status values that MassMailer provides, then you would have to click on this button to make sure the Salesforce campaign is set as MassMailer campaign. Add campaign members is similar to what you would see from a list view a report. You can add campaign members, same thing. So this is more easier. And like one step, you can add campaign members from multiple sources. Remove duplicate campaign members. If you think you may have duplicates in the campaign, you don't want to keep them in the campaign as campaign members, just go click on it, clean it up. Otherwise, if you prefer to just like let MassMailer do this for you, you can always enable that suppress duplicates option in the outreach. Reset campaign member status, again, as the name says, you're resetting the status value of each campaign member. It depends on what status you want to change it to, but we have provided that button, whatever campaign member status you want to change it to for all the campaign members. Send via MassMailer lets you send it, send email, verify, again, to validate all the campaign members. Preview template will let you like look at the template, meaning what kind of a template has been sent. In one click, you can actually see that. Unscheduled job will stop the campaign. MassMailer clone would actually help you to clone the complete campaign, including the campaign members. So those are all the buttons or actions on the page layout. And then related list, again, email status, verification jobs, and outreaches. So you would see a little difference here, the outreaches, because a campaign can be used multiple times to send out emails. So if you're sending an outreach through the campaign multiple times, you want to see what those outreaches are, and that's what you would see. I've not added the fields to the campaign layout. There are certain fields that you can add it as well. I think it was my mistake. I missed it. I'll see if I can demonstrate that during the demo. And then on the search layout, again, if you're not familiar with the search layout, you'll kind of understand when I'm demonstrating that. New MassMailer campaign button can be added. So that's basically if you're going to the campaigns tab. Sometimes you see the buttons that they show up when you select in a list view. So the search layout does have MassMailer buttons as well. And then MassMailer outreach is an object if you're familiar with MassMailer. There are two buttons that we provide, unscheduled job and then preview template. Again, this is similar to what you see on campaign, unschedule any outreach. Or you can preview the template, what has been sent. That's the function for those two buttons. MassMailer email status, there's a button called follow up. Again, all these buttons are added automatically, but some are not there. That's because the Salesforce packaging mechanism, you can just add them whenever you want. It has to be a new version. So if some of these buttons are missing in your org, just because we have added those buttons in the recent times, and those are not added to the page layout, but you can always go edit them. Basically, MassMailer email status object also has a button called follow up. That's basically to send a follow up message for any of the email that already got delivered. And MassMailer suppressions has a search layout button called delete suppressions, which will let you delete multiple the suppression records in one go. So that's called delete suppressions. So these are all various buttons. Again, feel free to modify the page layout for the fields, especially on the campaign, and I'll demonstrate that to you. And any other fields that you don't want, like for example, the standard MassMailer outreach layout or email status layout. Sometimes if you think, hey, this is so much information, I don't want it, feel free to edit the standard page layouts that we provided. Nothing really, stops you to edit the layouts that we provide. Okay. All right, let's take a look at these layouts in Salesforce. So initially, I would actually take you to, say, a record. Start with the standard object, right? So for example, contact, I already have buttons, but I just want to show it to you. So if you go to contact, you would see some buttons here: send via MassMailer, quick send via MassMailer, and then MassMailer verify is missing. We can add that. And then you can see the email status records and the verify status. That's all what and suppressions is added here, right? Now, if you want to edit the page layout for any object, there are two ways to do it. One is just go edit object, don't do edit page. This will take you to the Lightning if you're in the Lightning mode. If you do edit object, that actually takes you to the standard object manager, where in which you have the page layout on the left-hand side. So you're in the object manager, contact, and then page layout. So there would be multiple page layouts, again, depending on which page layout you want to edit. You just have to select that specific page layout for that particular object. And then there are two things that you would see: the buttons and then lightning actions. As I said, just for simplicity in my presentation, I said buttons, but if you're in Classic, you could just use the buttons. And if you're Lightning, you can add the lightning actions as well. Again, if you don't have the lightning pages that are separate, even if you just do the buttons, it'll automatically get added to this. So I'm sure your admin understand what it means. So if you look at this, we have 3 MassMailer related buttons right there. So I could just go add them to the page layout here. Send via MassMailer. So 3: verify, quick send, and send. Right? And same thing if I go to the Lightning, I believe I may have added already. Verify is missing. So as you can see, there are 3 buttons MassMailer provides. All you need to do is just go add it to the page layout, right? So MassMailer verify to the lightning actions. So these are the 2 things that you want to do. And then related list. So if you type in MassMailer, you'll find the ones that we support. So docs, you don't need to add it because we don't support that functionality anymore. So MassMailer email status, suppressions, and then verify status. So these are the 3 that you definitely want to have. Verification jobs, if you want to add it, you can. But at a single object level or a single record level, you really don't need to look at the verification jobs because just one record. So I would say that don't add it to the regular object layouts, but you can add it to the campaign without any doubt. Okay. So basically 3 things: email status, suppression, MassMailer suppressions, and the MassMailer verify is what you would like to add. And if you don't want the verify because you're not using the verify plugin, that's okay. You don't need to add it. Just keep like email status and suppressions. So those 2 are already added. And if you ever wanted to like change specific columns that you see, for example, email status, by default, we already added certain fields, as you can see. But if you ever wanted to add any more, for example, IP address, right, you can add it. But it only allows 10 columns. That's why it's not added in our standard page layout. But you can always delete one from here. So for an example, everything seems like an important thing. So for an example, you don't want the email subject, but you want the IP address, for example, so you can add it, right? So that's basically, you'll have to play with this and figure out what you really need and what you don't want. And then you can save this. So I would turn off these buttons. So that's not necessary. Standard buttons, but because you would never click on the new button there. And then say okay. And that's how you basically change the columns in any specific related list. Once you're done, you can just do save, and then that saves the page layout. So that's for contact, and it's the same thing for the lead and any other object when it comes to the standard object layout. Search layout, you would see two of them here. So I want you to actually go edit both. The default layout is the top one. So remember, very easy to understand which one to change. So go to search layout, the default layout, and then edit it here. And if you add these three buttons, that's all what you need. And I understand maybe not all the users are having access to MassMailer. They may also see these buttons because these are basically custom buttons that are added after installing the package. So these are dynamic buttons that get created. So if you think, no, you don't want to display these buttons in the default layout, that's up to you. You can always add it to the other layouts. It doesn't matter. So you figure out which search layout you want to add it to the, for the specific profile, and then add it to that particular thing. And again, if you have specific search layout, you can add it there. Right? It's all up to you. Again, I leave it to the admin to make a decision on this, but we recommend to add it to the default layout for both. Here as well, the top one, that is a list view. So search layout for Salesforce Classic, you go add it to the list view, it's the same thing. All you need to do is just go click edit, and then add those three buttons, and then save it. So that's how you basically add the buttons in the related list to any object, whether it is lead or contact, or any of those things. And if you are not familiar with what all objects that MassMailer supports by default, you can always go to MassMailer app, the Lightning app if you're in Lightning, or Classic app if you're in Classic, and go to MassMailer setup, and you can see the list of all the objects that we support. So let me take a look at this quick, and then we'll jump onto that one, the campaign. All right, so go to email settings, and then you will see the object settings under which you can see all the objects that are actually supported in MassMailer: lead, case contact role, opportunity, account, campaign member, case, user, contact. So I've listed only a few of them. I didn't list this case contact role because it doesn't have a page layout, and same thing with this, no page layout. So opportunity, contact you can add, and campaign member, of course, is related to the campaign. And these two are custom, application number and application. Again, if you want me to show it to you, so if you go to the object manager, I'll just show you the application. It's the same thing, there's no difference. But you get an idea that even the custom objects, we provide the similar kind of buttons in the related list. So just go to the page layout, and here, when you go to the buttons, you would see the MassMailer related buttons right there. And then this one has a default Lightning the layout. So I've not overridden anything. So you don't need to add it to them, because you add it to the Classic, it'll get added to the Lightning as well. Same thing with the related list. So you have an option to add the email status, verify status suppressions for any custom object. And same thing with the search layout. You would do the same thing, going to the default layout, edit, and then you can add those three buttons. And same thing for search layout for Salesforce Classic. Go to the list view, edit, and then you can see those three buttons. So this is for the custom object. Right? Now, looking at the campaign, so go to campaign, and then you can see the page layout again, and click on whatever page layout that you want to edit. Okay, you may have more than one. And go to buttons. So here you can see like certain buttons such as add campaign members, right? And then MassMailer clone, MassMailer verify, preview template, remove duplicates, reset campaign members, send via MassMailer, set as MassMailer campaign, unscheduled job, right? And same thing here, you can add similar kind of buttons that you see, add campaign members, MassMailer clone, verify, remove duplicate. So you would see two different ones. Either one of them is okay. You can, doesn't matter. One is a button, other one is an action. So pick any of them, should work fine. The send via MassMailer, I think is already added. Set as MassMailer campaign. Unscheduled job is already added. Now the related list. So I recommend adding this even though it's not MassMailer related. It's called campaign member status. I recommend adding this campaign member statuses. That's a standard Salesforce related list. So you have the MassMailer email status, which you want to add, and then MassMailer verification jobs. If you are using verifier, it's important to add it as well on the campaign layout. And we got the MassMailer outreaches that's already added, right? So those are the three ones. Those are the three. One, email status, the outreaches, and the verification jobs. So those three are MassMailer related. And then click save, and that's how you save it. And then go into the search layout. Again, campaign has a different button called new MassMailer campaign button. That's what you can add. This lets you create a Salesforce campaign behind the scenes, but we add the campaign member status values. That's why we call this as a new MassMailer campaign, but it doesn't create any other object. It just creates Salesforce campaign behind the scenes. And then search layout, same thing. So go to the list view and add that button called new MassMailer campaign. So you start to select it and then save it. Right? So that's for the campaign. So three more objects that I mentioned. One is outreaches, which you're familiar with, the MassMailer outreach. Page layout. If you don't see this buttons in your page layout, you can actually just go add it. That could be just because you installed the app long ago. So that's why you may not see those buttons, because Salesforce does not upgrade you to the latest page layout that is coming from the package. You have to manually add it to the page layouts. That's their policy. So you'll see two buttons, unscheduled job and preview template. So these are the two buttons that you would add, and same thing, lightning page. If you have that, you can add their scheduled job and preview template. Okay. Related list should already be there. The MassMailer job status, MassMailer email status should come. But if you want to add them, that's fine. These two you can add, and you can also update the columns. We've not updated. We plan to do it in the next version. So you can always update the columns as well. And same thing here, the job status. Okay. There's nothing called search layout for the MassMailer outreach. We have provided a bulk delete option from here. And now going to email status, MassMailer email status. There's only one button. I think you can add it to the page layout. So go to the page layout, and then go to buttons. So there's a button called follow up. So that's all what you're gonna add. That's it. You don't need to add anything else like a related list or anything. It's not required. So just add the follow up button. That gives you a follow up feature. So that's for the email status. And finally, suppressions. If you go to MassMailer suppression, you can actually see the page layout. Believe suppression may not have a page layout button. So all you have is the search layout. Okay, so there is a delete suppression. I see. So this is actually not really required. I would rather, I mean, you can, if you ever wanted to just delete one suppression record, you can do that. But the standard delete also would work. So you don't need to really add this delete suppression record thing. I would go to the search layout directly and then add this button called delete suppressions. So this is very important. If you ever needed to bulk delete suppression records, this is the specific button that you would want to add. Same thing for classic, just go edit and then add the delete suppressions button. Okay, so that's how you basically add the buttons for the suppressions. And then finally, MassMailer list view, I think, is what I missed out. Let me show it to you as well. Called list view, MassMailer list view. If you go to the page layout and then go on the page layout, buttons. So there's a button called send via MassMailer and then MassMailer verify. So these two buttons can be added as well. Not many people use this, but I know some clients actually like to go to MassMailer Outreach Wizard from MassMailer List View. So that's why we created these two buttons. There would be difference in the functionality when it comes to send via MassMailer. Again, if you like to use this, it would work, no problem. So if you ever wanted to go from the list view, MassMailer list view to the Outreach Wizard, this is the right way to do it. Just add these two buttons, send via MassMailer and MassMailer verify for sure. That is if you wanted to validate. Same thing, you can update into the actions as well. So those are the two buttons that you can add and then save it, right? That's for the MassMailer list view. And then finally, campaign, want to show that we do have the fields. Let's go to the page layout and I'll show you what I mean. So you can actually add the fields related to statistics, right? So I have them here straight on the regular layout, but you could always add a section. So for an example, this is campaign information. Let's say you want to add one more section here. Let's say you want to add something like MassMailer statistics, and you want to make sure that it's displayed only in the detail page, and then say okay. Now all the fields that are related to MassMailer, such as opens, clicks, those things can be added. So say unit clicks. So you just have to drag and drop the two columns you can add. That's the easiest way. And then we have fields like how many got delivered and clicked. And then we also have the rate, like the click rate and deliver rate. So you will basically have to add them to the page layout, drag and drop and add it to the page layout. You can actually create two, if you wanted, two sections, one for statistics, another one you can say MassMailer performance or something, right? Campaign performance. Again, add it to the detail page only. And then all the rate fields, like for example, the delivered rate, and then the open rate or click rate, so unit click rate. So those things you can add to the performance section. That way you keep them separate. One is the stats and the other one is the performance. So those can be added to the page layout and they get edited or updated every 15 minutes, I guess. So it's not instantaneous, just to let you know. Anything on the outreach is what we're gonna bring in and then update it to the campaign as well. So those are the fields that you may need to add it to the campaign if those fields do not exist on your campaign page layout. So that's about the fields. And then rest, again, as I said, if you ever wanted to update any of the standard, not the standard, the custom objects MassMailer provides, MassMailer Outreach, for an example. So if you go to Outreach, if you go to the page layout already has certain fields that are added here. As you can see, we added them as sections. If you ever wanted to add more or delete any of them, it's all up to you. Not that everything is required, but it is still some information that could be available. And some fields may not have any information. So those are maybe deprecated fields, or maybe we're not using them anymore. So again, just use your discretion on what you want to display on this particular page, all the fields, and then edit it accordingly. But the most important fields have been added already. I don't think we missed out anything, but if you ever think that you want to make some changes, feel free to do that. No problem at all. Okay. All right. I think I'm done with the demo. Any questions? Yeah. Pooja, you have a question?
Right now, I don't have any, but I just wanted to know, like, how do we track the activity of MassMailer in on leads or something? Uh, can you tell me that with the outreach wizard, whatever?
Okay, so when you say activity, the email status events, right, such as opens.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So if you go to the lead layout, you would see the related list. So one of which is called MassMailer email status. So
Okay.
this is the related list that you want to drag and drop to the page layout.
And
Go ahead.
and this will be available for all the objects that we are using, or this will be available only for leads?
Available for all the objects that are enabled in MassMailer. So these are all the objects that are enabled, as you can see. So it'll be available for all of them, not to the contact roles, not to the case contact, because we added to the case. Same thing with the opportunity. So we added to the opportunity.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
And if you have some time, can I share my screen and I can just ask you a few questions related to this site staff portal thing?
I prefer doing a separate call. So
Okay.
yeah, drop an email to us. Happy to support.
Okay, perfect. So please do share me this recording.
I will. You will receive it.
Yes, and I'll go through that video again. And if I have any question, I'll reply on that email with my questions.
Sure. Perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful. All right.
Thank you, Sima.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So once again, this is a weekly webinar that we conduct every Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific, again, depending on the daylight savings time. So feel free to contact us on the contact information that's shown here, either directly to me or the company email. You can always go to our website and get started with MassMailer if you're new. We have a free trial available. Again, I request or recommend subscribing to our YouTube channel. So we have all the videos that are posted to the YouTube channel. They also get streamed on our website as well, but YouTube may be the right way to get subscribed and get the latest updates from our channel. So Ian, thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Looking forward to talking to you. If you did join, or if you are in our mailing list, you will get a recording for this webinar, and also you would receive what would be the next topic for the next week, and you can always join directly, or you can subscribe or register. Thank you so much. Have a